I think a lot of us feel a certain ache when something ends, whether that's a relationship, a friendship, a season in our life that we didn't realize we were living in until it kind of fell away. We act like the ending ruins the story, like when really the ending is what makes the story to begin with. Why does everything have to end? Why do things just not stay when they're good? We ask ourselves that a lot. But think about it. If your favorite movie never had an ending, then it would just keep going, scene after scene, and it would just stop being so special to you, right? Without an ending, there's no meaning. In the same way, without goodbye, I love you isn't as important. Life works the same way. I'll tell you a story to better kind of illustrate this. In my first 2 years of college, I dated this girl. I'll call her M. And I loved M. Not just because, oh, I like being around you kind of love, but because I looked at her in a certain way that I thought I could spend the rest of my life with M. We had this certain way that we clicked, this certain way that we understood each other almost as if we had known each other for longer than we actually had. And she wasn't the first girl I had ever dated, but M was the first girl who made me feel like home wasn't a place, it was a person. And I had never understood that saying before I met M. And we rarely fought. We honestly clicked in more ways than I thought we ever could. And she just made love feel so effortless. Even beyond the honeymoon phase or those different phases of love people like to break down, it just felt so easy to love her and to be in that relationship with her. And I had never felt that before. But we had a situation when we started talking about our future down the road. Where were we going to go in terms of marriage, children, where we live, who we wanted to become. And we realized those futures weren't heading in the same direction. So I had a serious conversation with M, and we decided that it was best to cut things off because it would be too painful in the end to keep things going, because we knew it wasn't going to work out in the long run. And just like that, what felt endless to me had ended. And there wasn't no dramatic fight or a big betrayal, like M had cheated on me or something like that. It was just two people who had loved each other but couldn't walk on the same road forever. And I think there's a saying, and maybe I'm going to butcher this, but there are people in your life that aren't meant to stay in it forever, and that's okay. Or something along those lines. Maybe I'm completely wrong in how that goes, but I've heard it before. And I realize that in the months to come of me getting over her, and even now it still stings a little bit. It's been almost 8-9 months, but it still stings. But I see now that where I am outside of the relationship, I wouldn't be where I am and who I am without the ending, without the relationship having shaped me. And I thought to myself how this ending didn't ruin anything. Yes, it was painful, but if it hadn't ended, I wouldn't be the person I am now, more confident, more grounded, more me. I would still be stuck. And maybe that's the work of God telling me that in order to grow, sometimes we have to make a sacrifice. And I've gone over that topic before in other videos, how sometimes in order to grow, we need to make a sacrifice. Because sometimes love doesn't stay in your life, but it leaves fingerprints on your soul. Because we are a reflection of all the people we've ever loved, all the people we've ever come in contact with. Kind of like the way that you still listen to the same type of music an ex introduced you to, or you still love a certain food that someone introduced you to that passed away. Whatever it may be, I think that you are a canvas of all the people you've ever met. And whether or not you like that canvas, I think that you are the painter in this case, and you can paint yourself. And going back to the topic of why is there beauty in things that end, I think the Bible really addresses this pretty well. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And I think that means not everything is meant to be permanent. Some things are meant to have a season, not a lifetime. Because you can't just curse the winter for ending because you love the snow. And you can't beg summer to stay forever because you like the warmth and going to the beach. You just kind of have to appreciate the change when it goes. And maybe that's the beauty of things that don't last. A flower is breathtaking because it wilts. We love our pets deeply because we know their time with us is short. And we cherish moments because we know they'll pass. Nothing lasts forever, and that's what makes it precious. If things stayed the same, if nothing ever ended, we'd stop paying attention, we'd stop caring, and we'd stop growing. Endings aren't a punishment. They're not some kind of end-all. They're permission to become someone new. So when something ends, don't ask yourself, why didn't this last? It was so good. I loved this person. I loved doing this thing. I loved this memory. Instead, ask yourself, what did this give me while it lived? Because there's beauty in knowing things don't last, because if they did, they wouldn't change us. And remember, be kind to you and to others, and know that even if no one cares about you, I still care. Love.